Are you ready?
I'm ready.
John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge. Go to one satellite, start looking left. You can't miss us. We are here. Listen after this for Dave, the big man, to tell you how to have your very own podcast right here in our studio if you so wish. And any of my friends out there, if you're waiting for me to ask you to be on the show, stop waiting and ask me, and I will say yes, and that will be that. We are here today. Dennis Fancher, great guitar player, the one and only.
Well,
there he is.
thank you.
Yeah, man. You don't think so? Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
I'm probably my worst advocate, but
Well,
you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Keeps you on your toes, but you should not feel that way, for sure. No pictures. So I did not know that you even. So I know Dennis from up north way. I don't know you down here. So I didn't even know you had a connection with Dave, Portland.
Right.
You want to talk about your Portland connection first?
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in East Hampton,
Okay.
and
I didn't know that all this time.
Yeah,
Funny.
I know because I've crossed the river and gone north.
Yeah.
So I live up at Granby now, home of the great Bert Teague.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. Yep.
So who looms large up there?
Yep.
You know, he's always missed.
Oh yeah, for sure. I used to play with Bert when I was 17. You probably did too.
I did.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
did.
It's funny. So East Hampton, you know, there's not much going on in that town.
Mm-hmm.
I started taking guitar as a class in 6th grade. It was like an elective for 4 months.
Yeah, right.
And I loved it.
Yeah,
It just was like finding a missing piece of your body. you
And
know?
you were like, this is
I was
it.
like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and it came very quickly. And I didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah,
I
sure.
was 12 years old.
Sure.
And then the next time the elective came around again, I took it. I took it every time it was available
right.
up until I couldn't take it anymore. But
Sure.
the music teacher was Ed Friedman, who was a great sax player.
Okay.
He passed away about a year or two ago.
Oh wow.
But he was great because he saw that I had like an affinity for the guitar. So, you know, he knew that most of the kids in the class were just going to work on the D chord all day.
Yeah, right.
Just struggled to get the fingering. So he put me over in the corner
Yeah.
and started showing me like Stairway to Heaven and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that, you know, and it was really cool that he gave me that opportunity to like grow within his little
Yeah.
thing. And so
That's cool.
eventually I was like, well, I might need to start taking some like real lessons.
Yeah.
And I went to Rivers Music.
You could learn G.
Yeah.
You know
so
what
I
I mean,
learned
or
G and all the other alphabet.
Yeah.
So I went to Rivers Music. Michael Cleary was teaching and working there.
Oh wow.
And I took like 2 or 3 lessons there with a guy
Yep.
who's sort of just, his name was Pete. I cannot remember his last name.
I've heard this. Somebody else couldn't think of his last name. They talked about Pete.
He's disappeared for years. Like
Okay.
Michael Cleary said he's been looking for him.
That might have been. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Pete, if you're out there, whoever Pete, the guy Pete.
He was great because he saw that I had like a natural gift for it too. So he was like, look, you know, he's like, I'm not gonna, you know, try to get you doing all the stuff that you don't want to do. He's like, you said you really like Zeppelin, so I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
Like, here's the A minor pentatonic scale. He wrote it out in tablature. It's the only time I ever read tablature. And he said, you know, if you get this down and start playing in all the keys
Sure.
and just start jamming to the Zeppelin records, you're going to start hearing
Oh, nice.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then you'll find all the stuff around it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all he did. And
Hey, that's cool.
I took a couple more lessons. I think my parents couldn't afford it at the time, so I didn't keep going with it. And then
Were your parents musical?
my dad was. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was great singer, keyboard player.
Oh wow.
He had a band that got very close.
Oh wow. So he was into it when you.
He was into it.
So you
He
found
was-
your thing, and he was like, "All right, do this."
He was my biggest fan.
Hey, that's cool.
He was always like driving out to gigs.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, no matter how far.
Yeah, my parents too. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I did that, and then I heard about this place.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, wow.
I came over here, and Dave was teaching.
Oh, wow. That would have been what year, approximately?
Probably around 88.
Wow. So you were kind of almost new.
I'd been playing for a couple of years.
83. Oh, 83. Okay.
I'd been playing for a couple of years. And it was actually a really amazing wake-up call for me.
Oh, yeah?
Because Dave's like tremendous at like jazz rhythm guitar.
Yeah, right.
And I remember him showing me, like he opened up a book and he started playing.
Yeah. So you're a little bit beyond
jazz chords, and I was just like, what is that? You know?
Yeah.
And he wanted me to learn to read music. And which I blew.
Oh, really?
I blew it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
really?
No, it's
do you
really
now? Do you still don't?
I still don't very
wow.
well. I mean, I know what the notes are.
Sure.
I've been bad at the rhythms, which is ironic because I played drums for a minute when I was about 10 in band because I was still trying to find what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
My brother is a classical pianist.
Oh, wow.
And he's 3 years younger than me. And he was like a genius player right off the bat.
Wow.
And always did it out in the living room
Yeah.
or the dining room.
Yeah.
Show off. He loved it. And him and my dad really bonded with that. And so I wanted to find something that I could just go hide in the room and do.
Yeah, right.
And nobody could hear me, you
Sure.
know, making mistakes or whatever.
Yeah. I got you.
So I took my lessons with Dave, and I was tricking him for a while. That I was reading the music.
Yeah.
Because I had really good ears.
Sure.
Which is one of the things that that is, it's like a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
Academically, it's a curse, but it has gotten me through so many situations.
Amen.
You know,
We all, yeah.
yeah,
Whatever.
and really, that's what it comes down to is just listening.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, yeah.
It sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people don't listen.
Yeah.
It's just
That's funny.
they get really wrapped up in what they're doing.
I'm sorry. What? I wasn't
Yeah.
listening.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. Yes. Yeah. Keep talking then. Yeah. Definitely. No. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, as a teacher, I try to teach kids to read. Drums are easy because it's only rhythm, so no melody, no harmony. So if I could teach rhythm, note value, it's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that bad to teach kids. But I was the same way. I learned everything by ear to a point, and I did learn how to read later, and I found that it was helpful in my personal experience. But, you know, it's 50-50. Some kids, it just confuses them, and I go, well, then don't worry about it. You don't need it. But from my experience, if you can kind of relate your own way that you found to this system that still exists because it actually makes sense if you let it, it can be helpful. But
I totally agree.
But, I mean,
I'm not one of those people that says, oh, don't do that. It's going to ruin your style.
You never know.
Like, that's garbage.
Yeah, but, you know, so many great players don't know.
It's just my ears have sort of fueled the laziness over the years.
Whatever.
I have more time on my hands now, so I think I'm actually going to sit down and figure that out for myself. I just feel like it would be helpful.
Maybe not. Who knows?
Well, you know what? It opens up the opportunity to learn music that maybe you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Just by listening, like very complicated like jazz and things like that.
I do that sometimes drumming. If I need a coordination challenge, if there's something, I'll read it and just go, oh, okay, you know, and open up another thing.
Yeah.
That I can't, it's like you're saying, if you, the more you learn, the more that you can hear. It's odd. It's like once you kind of understand more. Yeah. You can hear more because you know what's possible, kind of, in a way. But anyway.
Yeah. So, you know, I remember Dave one time.
So we thought you were an incredible reader.
He thought I was reading, and then I made a mistake, and he said, go back to this bar here and play, start from there. And I was like, oh, I'm not really reading this. You know, I just memorized it. And he was kind of mad. Yeah. But it was really good for me. You know, it was really good. He was sort of like, you know, you got to take this seriously. If you're going to do it, you know, you're wasting your mom's money.
Sure.
And, you know, his time and everything. So, you know, I took a few more lessons, and then I just kind of went and really.
Yeah.
It was tough because I would come here and we'd be learning very basic reading stuff, and then I'd go home and I'd put on like Cream Wheels of Fire.
Yeah, right.
Jam into that,
Sure.
and I could play all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
2 years in,
Sure,
it was
sure.
just like
So you're like, why do I need this scale?
I didn't
You
see
don't
it
realize
at the
you're
time.
already playing this scale. Yeah.
I'm playing it. I mean, I've taken a very long kind of side road to get to the same place everybody else is.
Yeah, so what?
But, I mean,
all good.
I call myself like a refined primitive,
Yeah, well, I just finished reading a Stevie Ray Vaughan biography, which was cool. I loved Stevie Ray, not even as a drummer, it impacted me. And apparently he didn't know anything.
No, he didn't.
And that's pretty amazing,
Yeah, I mean, he was a vessel for something else,
exactly.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
and
Yeah,
that's what that is.
But yeah, talk about ears, you know what I mean? Just like
Jimi Hendrix, Paul McCartney, they were all the
list
same
goes
way,
on.
I mean, really, in the end, I've had a lot of friends of mine that I've played with over the years. I was very daunted by people who were like music majors and stuff. And every time I played with them, I would think, like, oh, they're tearing me apart. They hear everything, And one of them one day just said something like, dude, you do naturally what we had to go to school and learn all this stuff to be able to do.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you just got there on your own. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it.
Hell
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Why
Now,
not?
like I said, I'm my own worst critic. And
Aren't we all?
I've always been.
Yeah, well, it's probably what keeps you on your toes, like I say, in a sense,
Yeah. I've had people tell me, like, you need to get an ego. and I'm like, nah, it's just...
That's all right.
I don't know. It's just a guitar, It's just music. I mean, music is incredibly important.
Yeah.
And I think that it has more positives in people's lives than people know. But at the same time, I'm not curing cancer or...
Interesting.
So I've never really like took myself like super seriously.
Well, that's okay.
I'm doing it more now than I ever have.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, so take us through and we'll get to that. I just want to make sure you cover everything. So lessons with Dave, you're faking him out. and then what happens?
There was a few more years of just playing in my room. I went through a phase in my teens where I was very withdrawn and I didn't want to do anything after school with friends who were getting in trouble and stuff. I just stayed home and I was like, I just want to play the guitar, and it would be like 6 hours a day.
Yep. I had the same thing. My parents I had a curfew. Like I couldn't, in the summer, they were like, you can't play before 10 and you can't play after 8. And I would be disappointed. I would be like 9:58, ready to hit.
Yep.
Yeah. So I did the same thing.
Yeah.
No sports, no girls, nothing.
Yeah, it would be beautiful out.
Yep.
Like I just said yesterday to my mother, I was like, I think about how many nice days I just sat in my room and missed when I was younger.
Yeah, me too.
But at the same time, you're never going to get that time back
It's
that you get when you're in your teens.
That's what I find with adult students. Sometimes it's disappointing in a way, but it's like you got to get the hours in, kind of.
For some reason, I had the foresight to know that. I was like, I know there's going to be a day that I'm not going to be able to play this much.
Right.
And so I need to figure everything out as much as I can.
What do you think was the thing that moved you forward the most? What artist, what album could you imagine?
Well, I mean, so when I started playing, it was 1986, and, Eddie Van Halen was king and all that shred stuff. And I thought, well, you got to be able to do that stuff.
Sure.
So I started shedding on that stuff. And, I could play Eruption after like 2 or 3 years, which ironically I can't do now because I don't play that style anymore. So
yeah, right, sure. No, I know.
But I was sort of just doing what I thought you had to do.
Yeah, sure.
But interestingly, there was guys that didn't do anything for me. Eddie and like Joe Satriani and guys like that had a real like blues feel to their playing.
Yeah, sure.
Which leads down the road, you'll see why that matters, because I didn't know at the time what that was. But there was other guys that just sounded very typewriter-y and technical
right.
to me.
So you heard the root of what they were doing.
I heard the feel,
Yes.
you know, and it was like, oh, this really grabs me, and I didn't know why.
Yeah, I loved Eddie Van Halen too
Yeah.
because his rhythm playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean the riffs, and I mean people.
Yeah.
All they do is talk about the tapping, and it's like he wrote
whatever.
some of the greatest riffs, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Songwriter.
Yeah.
You know,
I love. Only just a little side trip. I was talking to. Do you know Matt Starr? Do you know Matt at all?
No.
All right. I was talking to him last night because we just geek out talking about it or everything. And I'm old enough to. I'm so fortunate when I think about how things worked out. I'm old enough to buy. I bought the first Van Halen record when it was the only one, and I had to. The second one came out,
Wow.
and then the third. I was there for each and every one. Like I followed it.
Wow.
And I look back and I go, how lucky, you know, that actually I got to experience it like that. I was there for every single step.
That's like the people that grew up and Hendrix hit the scene.
Can you imagine?
I'll never understand
right
fully what that must be like.
Yeah, that's
You know,
crazy.
we're seeing Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
You know, I got Van Halen 1984 for my 10th birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was the first time I was aware of them.
Mm.
But at that point, I think I wanted to be a drummer, but
Yeah,
I could never afford a kit or
Yeah.
anything, and I just played the snare drum in the school band. But it wasn't until about 1990 I went to the Hartford Civic Center and I saw Eric Clapton play on his Journeyman tour.
Okay.
He had a great band. He had Steve Ferroni on drums.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
Nathan East. And,
Yeah.
there was a minute, I don't know how long it was, in a song called Old Love that he did.
Okay.
Which is a beautiful
Yep.
tune.
Yep.
And they brought the lights down, and it was an oval stage.
Yeah.
And he was just walking around the stage with a wireless, just playing this like beautiful blues.
Yeah.
And his tone was super warm, and it just resonated in my stomach. And I left that place completely changed.
Wow.
Like, I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. I want to emote with the guitar.
Hey, that's cool.
Like, I get it. I
right.
get
It was
what
his
I'm
voice.
supposed to do.
It was
you
a
know?
voice instead of.
Yeah, because I'd never heard anything like that live before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I didn't sleep that night, and I went out and got all the stuff from him that I could.
What did you think when you went to the show? Why did you go? What did you think it was?
Well, I knew he was a great guitar player, and I
Right.
figued, well, I play guitar, and a friend of mine, and we'd gotten
But you didn't know
tickets.
the blues was going to hit you that hard.
I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it's ironic, too, because right around that time, I became aware of Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Okay.
and it wasn't much longer
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
you know? So that really affected me when he died.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that day. I still do. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I did. It was like the classic. We had conditioning for soccer practice starting before school
Oh boy.
in August. And the day that happened, I called my coach and I said, look, I can't come.
Yeah. Right.
And then he was like, why? And I couldn't come up with a good excuse.
Yeah, right,
and I
right,
just,
right.
so I told him
Yeah.
exactly why. And he
That's
was,
so funny.
he didn't get it. He was like, you're going to blow me up. Like, what?
You know, that's so funny. I wish. Sorry, I hate to keep interrupting. I wish
No,
I
it's
could
okay.
remember who. Believe it or not, the same thing happened to Stevie Ray Vaughan. He said he canceled a gig. He had a gig. I think it was local, but he had a thing. Somebody died. Muddy Waters died. I think it was Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters died, and he said, I can't do the gig.
Yeah.
You know, and whoever somebody else in the band or manager goes, you know, why? He said, well, Muddy Waters died. And I go, why? Did you know him? And it's like, no, but I can't function. I can't.
It's hard to make people who aren't musical
right.
understand
Oh, dude, yeah.
how emotionally connected, especially at that age.
Oh, God.
I think
yeah.
I was
Sure.
like 16.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, but it's like it's between those two guys, it's sort of like I said, well, I got to really work on some blues.
Okay. Bert Teague.
Yeah, I didn't meet Bert for probably another 5 years. And I didn't play in front of people for a long time. I think I
wow.
was like 19 by the first
So no,
time.
no high school bands?
My
or anything?
dad and my mom thought I was just throwing my life away. They thought I was depressed in the room. They didn't know. I wouldn't let them. If they opened the door, I wouldn't play.
Wow.
You know, like I just wouldn't show anybody. And then we did a high school talent show.
Okay.
and we did like Give Me 3 Steps and
Eruption.
No, there was a guitar solo though. Like
Yeah.
everybody got introduced, and you know,
Sure.
it just did this barrage of notes with this horrible mosquito fart tone that
Sure.
I had, and
Yeah.
girls were throwing bras up at the
Oh, this is
stage, and
great.
my knees were knocking, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to do this, you know. It was pretty cool, but yeah, we did. You know, I think we even did at the very end of it, we did Freebird,
Yeah, of course.
but we only did the guitar solo part. you
Yeah,
know?
just skip all the.
Yeah, because I mean the guitar solo part's already 15 minutes long. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, you can't have too long for the
And
right,
there's
so.
3 guitar players, and I was doing it by myself.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But it doesn't matter. It was fun. That was the first time that I played in front of people.
Wow.
And it made me
Bras on the first time. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody threw
All
a
right.
bra up on the guitar, and it hung off the headstock,
Great.
and I kept it there.
Sure. Yeah.
And my parents were in the audience, and I was kind of like, well, I don't care.
Yeah. Right.
What
Oh,
are they
no.
gonna do? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But anyway, that was just an aside.
Sure.
From like, you know, the first time that I played in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah. But now you're getting on the blues mission.
Yeah. I did that for a couple of years, just really trying to learn as much as I could. And then I think in my senior year, you remember Jim Koplik used to talk on, I can't remember if it was
yes,
102 or 105
Yeah.
HCN.
I think it was
one of the
HCN
two.
or whatever.
And he was talking about this guy that was going to be down at Toad's place called Robin Ford.
Oh. Okay.
And he played a couple of the songs on the radio. I mean, that's how hip the radio was back then.
Oh yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. No. I know.
And I was like, whoa, who is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, I think in between there, I had heard Eric Johnson and people like that who I
Mm-hmm.
really liked as well. And so I hear Robin Ford, and I heard a little bit of that in there, but it was over like blues.
Sure.
And he was playing things that weren't really in this traditional blues vocabulary. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just, like, I just was like, oh, I
Okay,
got to
now.
find out what that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably one of the biggest pivotal moments in my life of realizing that I wanted to start to incorporate like some jazz harmony in with
Yeah.
the blues stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
And it was then that you said, "Oh man, I should have listened to
exactly
Dave."
yeah. And so, you know, I was stuck with myself just trying to learn this stuff by
Yeah.
ear.
Yeah. Sure.
Which luckily I was able to do a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, that sort of set me on
Yeah.
a path.
That's cool.
And then I think by 95 or 96, I think it was 96,
Yeah.
I had gotten like way into the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
And I had taken a couple months and said, I'm just going to play slide guitar. I'm not going to play any other kind of
that's cool.
guitar because
Yeah. Yeah.
I just really want to play like Warren Haynes, you know?
Sure. We'll figure it out.
And that summer, a bunch of friends of mine came back from colleges and all this stuff. And we were like, let's get the high school band back together, you know?
Yeah.
And we went up to an open mic at a place that used to be called Holly J's. I think it's a tavern on 66 now. But,
Okay.
you know, this was like the only thing happening in East Hampton,
yeah,
you know? And we went up there, signed up for the open mic, and we opened up with Statesboro Blues.
Yeah.
And somebody walked up to
You're
me.
burning up the slide. You're like, I've been
Right,
waiting
I'd
for
been
this moment.
playing it
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah.
2 months.
Yeah.
And I was really excited and really passionate about that band. And somebody walked up to me and said, hey, that was really good. Somebody wants to talk to you.
Oh,
and
boy.
I went to the back of the bar with them, and sitting at the table was J-Mo
Oh. Okay.
and his wife. And I was like,
Oh wow.
what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he was like, damn, that sounded just like the record, you know? And I was like, hang on one second. And I went out in the parking lot and I freaked out because I was like, I never would have played that if I knew he was there.
Yeah. Right. It's a good thing.
And
Good thing.
that started an amazing relationship. His wife was looking, because she was playing drums at the time.
Oh, wow.
She started a band called Angel Fire, and she was looking for places to play gigs.
Okay.
So that's why they were there.
Oh, I see.
And next thing you know, she asked me to be in her band, and I was like, cool. I'm gonna join in this band, so we get to rehearse at JMO's house, and
where was he living at this time?
he Bloomfield, same place he lives now.
Right. Okay. Did you even know he was in the
I didn't.
scene
I had seen
in the
him,
area?
I saw him in a music store about a month before.
Okay.
My brother and I were there, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's JMO from the Allman Brothers!"
Wow,
And like
yeah.
I was speechless,
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
And I actually held the door open for him when he was leaving, and he just looked at me and was like, "Thanks." And to me, it was like the greatest thing.
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
And I remember saying to my brother, I was like, "I wonder how you can get the attention of somebody like that."
Yeah.
And then like a month
And
later,
you did without
I did.
knowing. Yeah, oh man.
You know, he invited me up to Great Woods like within a couple days. I went to
Whoa.
go up and watch the Allman Brothers from the side of the stage.
Man. So now whoa.
Yeah, so like
Yeah, that's cool.
it became real. You know, I was going to be an English teacher. Like that was what I thought I was going to do.
Okay.
I was going to college because English was easy for me,
Sure.
but I didn't really love it.
Right.
It just was, well, if I'm going to get through this, I'm going to
Sure.
do what I'm good at.
Sure.
But yeah, it happened super fast. Like I was like 21 or 2 at the time.
Yeah.
And he ended up hooking me up with well, actually I should say before I start talking about James Montgomery, I should also mention Chris Tofield used to live in the apartment above this place.
Oh wow.
And
Out here.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
In East Hampton.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that either.
I had started seeing posters of him around
Sure.
all the place, and
Yeah.
I was intrigued. And JMO went upstairs and got him because he knew him.
Oh,
And he
wow.
said, "You got to come down and you got to jam with this kid."
Oh wow.
And we had
all of a
like,
sudden you're right in the mix. Yeah.
I was in the mix, and
yeah.
we had like this guitar duel kind of
Sure.
thing, you know, because Chris likes to do that kind of
Sure.
thing. And we never did it again after that. We were like really tight.
Because you cut him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we,
Whatever.
you know, he took me under his wing. I
that's
guess if you
great.
could say any musician around here did. He really did.
Wow.
And
I didn't know
I used
that.
to go hang out with him like every night. Go
Tofield?
Yep. Go
Oh
up
wow.
to
I
his-
didn't know that.
and
That's
we would
great.
sit and listen to all kinds of
Yeah,
music. Like,
yeah.
it wasn't just blues; it would be anything.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
He started turning me on to like, "Oh, you got to hear Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to
yeah.
hear all this, you know,
Oh, that's
all
great.
these things." And it was just really
Wow.
heady time.
That's cool.
And there was like a simultaneous thing between JMO and Chris Tofield, and can't remember if anyone else, but James Montgomery was looking for a guitar player.
Okay.
And he'd heard my name from Chris, and he'd heard my name from JMO down at the Beacon Theater.
Sure. And then who is this kid?
So he came out to a gig and watched. And then I didn't hear from him again for like a year.
Oh wow.
And I thought, well, I must have blew it, you know. But next thing you know, he calls me up and wants me to go on a tour in like 1998. And I was like, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just like very sudden for me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
went from being like a bedroom guy to like
Wow.
hanging out with JMO and
Sure.
playing, you know, it's meeting all my heroes
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and being a fixture in that.
Did you hang out with Warren Haynes? Did you?
I got to have dinner with
Wow.
Warren, and then when Warren left, they got this guy Jack Pearson, who was sort of like, he was like Larry Carlton if he had joined the Allman Brothers. Like
Wow.
he was
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to be.
Yeah. I was just
You
thinking.
know,
that.
he had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a Southern rock
Right
thing
in there.
going on, but he had heavy jazz.
Yeah.
And I mean, people talk about Derek Trucks. I love Derek.
Sure.
I met Derek when he was really young.
Sure.
And he was tremendous. But for my taste, Jack Pearson was the best slide player they ever had.
Okay.
Because he was completely unpredictable.
Oh wow.
He doesn't have like a thing that he always goes to. Like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time he took a solo, he went somewhere else, and
Wow.
he just was mind blowing.
Okay.
So and I got to hang out with him
Wow.
like for
You're
a week.
getting it all. You're just.
I went down
getting
to the
filled up.
Beacon for a week and stayed in JMO's hotel. And like, you know, Jack was there.
Yeah.
He gave me this little slide, you know, that I still use. It's a little Dunlop slide. It only goes down to your knuckle.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, you know, I like to use this size because Warren used like a big bottle.
Okay. Yeah.
But he liked to use that because he wanted to still be able to play like leads and chords and go between.
Oh, I see. So that's the thing. It's like a
Yeah.
half. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean it's not what, like, I don't know if you've heard of Sonny Landreth, but
Yeah.
he's like another level with that.
Yep.
But yeah, it was really something to meet all these guys.
Wow.
And then suddenly James Montgomery wants a guitar player, and I went and auditioned, got the gig, and that was a cool band. The bass player was the same age as me, from Pittsfield, Mass, named Sean Hurley.
Okay.
And he said straight off the bat, he's like, I'm only going to be playing with you guys for like 4 or 5 months. I'm going down to New York because I'm playing with a band that's just got signed called Vertical Horizon. And I said,
oh, wow.
What?
This is crazy.
That's a dumb name.
Yeah,
At the time, I was like a blues nut. I
yeah.
didn't know anything about. I mean, they were a tremendous band.
Yeah. That's so.
And I even met all those guys, you know, and I just didn't at the time didn't register because I was just like, I want to be a blues.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
It's tough when you're like 21 and you have all this stuff thrown at you. You know what I mean? The thing is that he had so much experience that I didn't have. So he had toured with Arlo Guthrie already.
This bass player?
The bass player.
Okay.
And he started making me realize what I didn't know.
Okay.
You know? So then I started to really actually like practically start learning things like what the chords were and all the stuff that I did
minor
just by
details.
ear, you know?
Sure.
And
wow.
I did that for like 6 months. And then James he always just changes bands.
Oh, really?
Like,
Yeah.
He just decides one day he wants a whole different band. He just laid me off at a gig in Portland, Connecticut at the fairgrounds, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
I took it very hard.
Oh, boy.
But, you know, it needed to happen because I think at that point, like, I had started to get too serious about myself and started taking things you know, I wasn't having fun. You know, like I was doing all this amazing stuff and I was just being so hard on myself, and it kind of needed to happen in a way because then I came crashing back down to earth. Yeah. And I had to start playing with people around here again.
Oh, I see.
And a bunch of my friends were already off in other bands and stuff, so I had to like start over. Yeah. And it was a real big lesson in humility. Wow. And I decided that I didn't want to play blues again for a long time. Okay. Because I was like, you know, I'm bluesed out. Yeah. And
well, it worked. It made you sad.
Yeah.
Which is what it's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, when it took a little retrospect afterwards, but to hang around someone like Chris Tofield, who was like the real deal. Sure. Yeah. I kind of realized, like, you know, I'm just some middle class kid from Connecticut. What do I have to, you know, like, there's no way that I could ever be as authentic at it as someone who's really living it. Sure. And I kind of recognized that. And I said, well, it's always going to be in the playing. Sure. No matter what. So I think I veered off into like jam band world because that was getting big. And I had no clue about any of that stuff. And started playing with a band called Buddha Funk Special. Okay. Yeah. With Mike Tierney and Mike Schuster. Yeah. And we started playing festivals. Wow. And doing things like that. And that's cool. It was cool.
And you're incorporating kind of everything.
I was learning at the time.
Jam band, like anything goes. Everybody brings.
Well, I realized how little I had played the major scale. You know, everything I'd done was all these minor blues or you know, Pentatonic. Dominant seven things, and you know, these were completely different structured songs. You know, it took a very different mind frame, and you know, the guitar players were expected to just play and not run out of ideas. And so like I started working on that, you know, just trying to see how long I could go with that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you got a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
It all came together.
Well, you know, you start to learn that everything leads into another thing. Sure. Like, you know, now it makes perfect sense looking back. It's, you know, at the time you're horrified. Like, you're like, did I make a mistake? Am I heading nowhere now? You know, one of the things that I have a lot of musician friends that want to work more than they do. And I'm like, you have to take gigs that maybe you're not going to be comfortable in, or
Sure.
maybe it isn't your ideal thing,
Sure.
but it's experience.
Yep.
And you never know who you're going to meet in the whole thing. And that's not saying some A&R guy is going to be there and sign you,
Right.
which I think is what you have in your head when you're like 21.
Sure.
But now it's just like, you know, you could play with this bass player, and then 3 years later, he'll call you up and do something, want to do something.
Or
that
JMO
is-
could be there checking out the...
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with the jam band thing, I ended up like hooking up with the Max Creek guys and getting to know those guys real well. I joined a band called Dr. Juice.
Okay.
And we used to open for Creek all the time.
Yeah.
And Scott Morowski and I became really friendly and
I
started
love Scott.
playing all the time.
Yeah.
I just talked to him the other day.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. He's great.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, here's the perfect example of a guy who can just play
Yeah.
stream of conscious,
Yeah.
you know, and just play.
And it's always a little bit left of...
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
got his
And,
thing
it
going.
was really cool, too, because he doesn't really come from blues.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
you
So that
know,
must be what it is
yeah.
to my ear.
Yeah. It's just, it's a very different thing
Cool.
where he's coming from. And
Yeah.
he has a very mathematical brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he's, you know, he's always thinking in rhythm
Yeah.
and breaking down things mathematically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating to, like, you know, even just sit with him and hang out
Oh, yeah.
and have him describe what he's doing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Did a lot of things like that. And then I kind of got burned out in the jam band scene, and I started playing with like singer-songwriters.
Okay.
And so I moved to Granby,
Right.
and my real estate agent got the fax number wrong to somebody who was supposed to get some paperwork.
Yeah.
And the fax comes out on the desk of John Mayock, who worked up there
Sure.
near the airport at a window
Yeah.
a window warehouse or whatever
Yeah,
it was. And he was like, oh, Dennis Fancher's moving to town. And so
Yeah. Mayox.
I'd been playing with Jonathan Laketag on and off. And Jonathan was playing with the Mayocks, and he was like, you guys gotta hear Dennis. You know?
Yeah.
So they called me up and they were like, oh, I heard you're new in town, you know, you should come over and jam. And
Great.
next thing you know, I started doing stuff in that, and it was very like country oriented.
Sure. Yep.
And I had never done that. Not to that extent. I was into it a bit because of Scott
Yeah.
and some of the guys like Brett from Flipper Dave,
Yeah.
who I had a band with at the time called Shortness as a joke. The two of us.
Okay.
We used to go see Scott Morowski and Jeff Pivar play together, and they called it Guitarness.
Yeah.
And we were
That's
like,
me.
yeah, you were in that. So
Yeah.
we were like, hey, we can do that, but we're like the size of Jeff's leg, the both of us. So like we called ourselves Shortness as a joke.
Oh, I
And then
didn't
it
even know that.
stuck,
That's funny. That's
and
funny.
we couldn't get rid of the name.
Oh boy.
And it was pretty funny. But yeah, so like I kind of gotten into country styles and things like that. But playing with John and Tim, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I had to like really learn some of where that was coming from.
Sure.
And they turned me on to NRBQ, which I had never heard, which shame on me. I mean,
Well, no, I don't know. It's a thing. It's hard to...
it's a thing.
I got lucky. I had an older sister.
Yeah.
And she had the records in the house. Otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Right.
You know? We all come to it in a different kind of way.
I was like, how did I miss these
Yeah,
guys? You know,
because everything's in
you
there.
get into a scene. And
Yeah.
I loved them because they're every scene.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
literally
Yeah, it could
play.
be.
There's no categorizing.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
you know, maybe that's why they never took off to be humongous. But
I think so.
I know that they were like the favorites of really big name people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I heard Paul McCartney loved them.
Yeah. Everybody.
Keith Richards, all those guys.
Yeah, can you imagine?
You know, and we used to play a couple of their songs.
Sure.
And actually, the album that they had just done right before I joined, they had Tom Artolino play on the album.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And it was so cool because I was like, that's a feel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a feel.
He's my top 3 drummers.
Oh, I
He's
know.
one of them. That's
I know.
it.
I've said to you before, I've never heard anybody else around here, at least.
Oh, wow.
Or played with anybody that nails that vibe the way that you do.
Hey, thanks.
No, really.
I appreciate it.
And I picked it up right away the first time we played together. I was like, I remember doing a gig with Al. We were playing some blues, and like just the way you were shuffling, and I was like, wow,
well,
he's got Tommy's thing down.
All I'm going to say is this, not about me for a second, but another fortunate thing, we all have these things. I discovered them, his playing, older sister. I started hearing them when I was like 12, 13. I didn't have a whole lot of records available. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, I didn't know that how unique and real his playing was for real, like rock and roll drumming. And I just played like that because I didn't have too many other examples that, like you learn it.
But you got lucky with the examples.
Oh man, did I get lucky. Yeah. Because I got older and I realized this is rare to cop this feel. And I used to think, because again, I didn't have access to everything. I thought everybody, when I got older, was going to play like that. And then you realize, no, you just got the dude. You hooked up with the dude. And
right.
and I just took it with me.
Did you meet him?
Yeah. Not in any depth, but
well, he was definitely a left of center.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways,
sure.
It's funny because I was
always
playing,
astounding.
A bunch of guys I had played with talked about him. There was a time in 2004 where I got talk about things that lead to another that you never think of. There was a period, I think in 99 or something, after I'd gotten back from Chase Montgomery, that I was running an open mic up at Husky Blues.
Okay.
And I met all the guys in like Adios Pantalones who were going to school there, like Chip and Floyd and all those guys. And Floyd at the time, I don't think I had ever spoken a word to him because I never heard him talk.
Yeah.
2004, I get this call out of the blue, and he's like, "Dennis, this is Floyd." And I was like, "Hey, man, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I'm in this band from Boston, and our guitar player, we're on a tour right now."
Oh boy.
Our guitar player like got really drunk and jumped off the van and broke his ankle.
Oh.
And then it's gangrenous, and he's in the hospital. And
God.
we gotta finish this tour.
Yeah.
Would you be able to do that? Would you be interested in doing that? I said, well, yeah, sure. When is it? And it was like a Friday. And he goes, well, we're leaving on Sunday.
Oh boy.
And I was like, well, you better overnight me the stuff.
Yeah.
So this is before all the file sharing and stuff on the internet was really big. So he actually overnighted me a CD. And I learned it all in a day.
Whoa.
And went over there, had a quick rehearsal. We got in the van and we had a blast.
Wow.
And Tommy Deal, the drummer, is another one that was always talking about Tom Artolino.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I got to check this guy out.
Yeah. Completely.
But that just goes to show you, because I mean, like
you never know.
There was a gig like that Adios' guitar player got sick for, and they asked me to fill in for him. Yeah. And I don't even remember if I did it or not, but for some reason it made enough of an impression on Floyd to think, well, here's a guy that can do this stuff really last minute. Because that's a thing that I'm kind of known for being able to do.
Hey, that's cool.
And that goes back to the ear curse.
I was just going to say that. Like,
once I learned a piece of music,
let you down?
No, my brain, like the day that I start losing my mind is when it's all over, because it's just like a hard drive in there, When I learn a song, it's committed to memory forever. It's weird.
Hey, that's cool.
Like,
that's your thing.
It's my thing.
Yeah. No, that's good. Everybody's got something.
Yeah.
We all get in somehow.
Yeah.
That's your gift.
So that's, getting in with all the singer-songwriters and stuff around and doing all that. I ended up with Al Gamera's.
Yep.
And that's how I ended up like really meeting. Well, actually, I think I met you with Billy McGoffin.
Yeah,
first,
sure. Yep.
Yep.
Because
I played with,
I
forgot about I don't think I even got there yet in my story.
Oh boy.
It's not like I think about this all the time. Somewhere around 2010, Matt Ziner called me up.
Sure.
Out of the blue and was like, hey man, how have we never played together? And
Yeah.
He saw me playing at Sully's and was like, I want this guy in my band. Dude? Yeah. And I think I had met you at one of those gigs too.
Yep, probably.
You came out to Oh, I forgot the name of that
Sully's?
place out in, I want to say it was in New Britain.
I don't know. I have to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I'm starting to forget.
Yeah.
My hard drive's starting to come unplugged.
It's what happens.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you where my keys are half the time, but I can remember a song from 15 years ago.
Yep. Bert Teague.
Yep.
Where's that? When's that happen?
Yeah. So the Bert thing happened actually back in the Towfield days.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Chris and I were hanging out all the time, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start bringing you to some open mics around here, so people can get to know who you are, and we'll do like a guitar tag team thing or whatever." And he took me to the sports page in East Hartford.
Oh yeah.
And there was Bert.
Yeah.
And actually, I think I had seen him at the Diamond in Glastonbury a couple of times.
Yeah.
Remember that place?
Yes, I do.
And there was a guitar summit that they brought me up to jam on.
Sure.
Like sit in for a song. But I remember Bert was terrifying. Like I was like, wow, this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen anything quite like that around here.
Yeah, I know. No.
And I was like, he's jazz, he's country.
Yeah, he's kind of the whole thing.
Rock and roll, he's like the whole deal, you know.
Yeah.
And blues, you know. But
for sure.
I never thought of him as a blues guy because I was so enamored with his facility and the other things that I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to do things with Jimmy Bell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like he could just do anything.
He could do anything.
And he was pretty cool. I remember the first time I sat in with him, he was sort of like, they say you're pretty good, you know. And he called, So What?
Oh, boy.
And
like, hey, let's go, kiddo.
He's like, it's just a blues, but he kind of didn't mention that it goes up a half step.
Right.
Every, 8
Did you know the
measures.
tune?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It was great, though, because, I felt silly and I made a fool of myself, and then I went home and I learned it.
Yeah, right.
You know, and Towfield told me that the same thing had happened to him. He's like, I used to go to the 880 club all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And they'd call stuff and just leave me in the dust, and I'd go home and learn it.
Yeah.
And so
probably what they were trying to get you to do.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was like the tough love thing. But, Bert played my wedding.
Oh, wow.
Him and Tim McDonald played my wedding.
Sure.
Bert was always super nice, and he had me do a guitar summit one time with him and Scott Morawski.
Yeah, wow, that's heavy.
And he would invite me over his house, and he'd just be sitting there playing. He just never put down the guitar.
Yep.
And if I asked him a couple things, he would start to get real theoretical and
sure,
bury me, and I'd have to go home and figure out what he was talking about. But those are the kind of things that made me pay attention to intervals and pay attention to chord tones and things like that just kind of opened the door, you know. He's like, you got to get this video and watch this, and so I got a Larry Carlton video, and he started talking about how he had this triadic approach to soloing, and it like really opened things up for me. I got way into Steely Dan and things like that.
Yeah, Bert was funny. He came to my 18th birthday party. I still have it, and he bought me, I don't remember because I still couldn't comprehend it, but he bought me an Ornette Coleman record. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand this. But I just thought, well, this older guy wants me to hear this, so I'm going to listen to it, and I tried it a whole bunch. But yeah, it's funny. I'm just kind of thinking like, who would have thought he would give me something like that?
He was trying to open your ears.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And when you're young like that, sometimes it's too much to take in.
Yeah. He probably just like, this is what you gotta get into.
Yeah.
I don't want to run out of time. We're getting towards the end. Do you want to take us to what you're doing now of note? And then to kind of wrap up the story, and then I have stupid questions.
No, it's okay. So I was just basically doing. I've always kind of just been like the side man. I played with Matt Ziner, which was a huge learning experience. I started playing with Andre Balazs.
Yeah.
Just tremendous keyboard players.
Yeah.
And they make you think very differently about music.
Yeah, for sure.
Trying to hang on, for dear life and growing every single gig, it was really, those were some of the best experiences for me.
Yeah.
Right now, Now that I'm kind of back,
Sure.
because I mentioned earlier we were talking, I had neck surgery in 2018. I had 2 vertebrae that just deteriorated in my neck. I had to get that fixed.
Yikes.
And my hands were gone. Wow. And they were hoping that fixing my neck would make my hands come back. Mm. But I had really bad carpal tunnel for like 20 years that I just didn't want to get. Didn't want to get the surgery. I was too paranoid it was going to affect me. But during 2020, when nobody in the world was playing, I got them to do the 2 surgeries 2 weeks apart. Yeah. And now it's like I can play without pain.
Whoa,
it's
that's wild.
The best.
Wow.
Because I remember like the last gig that I had played before my neck surgery was with you at that Congregational church up in
that's right.
Granby.
I remember that.
With Al Gamares. That was one of the greatest gigs. We had Joe Boyle.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure I was going to do it after that. Like I remember being kind of bummed.
I remember that vibe.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, this might be it.
Farewell.
Yeah.
And it was probably a good 3 years that I was off the map for a while, trying to recover and trying not to play too much. And it was worth it because now
you're back.
I get back on Facebook, like a month ago, or maybe a little more, and suddenly my calendar's filling up.
Amen.
Some cool things that I'm doing right now. I just started playing with a band called Fat from the Springfield area. They were really big in the 70s. Apparently up there, they're still very big.
Okay.
These guys are all in their 70s now.
Whoa.
I met the bass player through Al at a gig. We did
fun.
Like the Shutesbury Athletic Club up in the middle of nowhere, and super nice people, and he was a great bass player.
CAB.
Yeah, and he was like, I play with a band called Fat, and I was like, I never heard of you guys. And then their guitar player, I guess, is leaving or doing something else or whatever, and he doesn't want to continue on with that. So he called me up out of the blue, this Guy DeVito, bass player, called me up and was like, hey, we'd like to get you on some of these gigs with Fat. And so he sent me the stuff, and supposed to start in July with them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But last weekend, there was a gig that they had. It was like a class reunion, and Scott Morosky was going to do it. He got COVID.
Oh.
So they called me on Friday.
Oh, boy.
And said, can you do the gig tomorrow? And I said,
oh, boy.
Well,
You're always that guy.
I said, I haven't shed any of the stuff yet because it's in July, And so we had like a 7-hour rehearsal on Saturday.
Nice.
Oh, no, on Friday. And then the next night I did the gig, and it was like,
it was cool.
I always played with them, and
hey, man.
they were like, hey,
Ears.
You're in. And
Ears
Peter,
Fancher. That's your new name. Ears Fancher.
Ears.
Got 2 of them.
Yeah.
2 ears.
I know. It's too bad they aren't like really like this.
Oh, they will be eventually.
Maybe. But yeah, Peter Newland, the singer, has his own band called Radio X. And he's basically said, I want you to play in that band too. So like doing that one gig, I got 2 gigs out of it.
Hey, man.
And they play MGM and do all kinds of things.
Great.
So yeah, I'm pretty busy just doing duos. Like a lot of in Connecticut right now, not a lot of gigs for bands.
Yep.
So I'm doing a lot of duos.
Yeah, that's cool.
With Mike Rao, Jeff Presh, John Mayock, Al Gamares.
Yep.
And
Far Out.
Anything else that comes up.
Yeah. It's killer. Yeah, it's funny. Guy DeVito, you mentioned him. I used to play with him back in the day sometimes with the Colbys. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny because not a lot of bass players get it. I started doing my Tommy Arlino thing, and he immediately, and we both looked at each other like, oh, like we knew exactly what to do.
Yep.
Because if you're gonna do that thing, bass players got to play quarter notes, not eighth notes, quarter notes, and that's what makes the thing happen. And we immediately were like, oh yeah, all right, now we're cooking. So yeah,
you've probably seen it a million times. Funny. One of my favorite things that I found online of Tommy, I think it was Letterman. They did Over Your Head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they got up next to him, the camera.
Yeah.
And like they're showing how he's doing all these clicks on the side of the snare drum, like in between the beats and stuff. It was so amazing.
Crazy.
Never seen anyone do anything like that.
No. And I, as a drummer, again, wow, man, I'm going to run out of time. When I was young, I thought the things that he did, I thought that they were a thing. I said, I'll grow up and understand that this is a rockabilly thing or wherever he's coming from, and you realize it's just him. It's just him. And I think I probably told this story with somebody else. But, I saw NRBQ. They were the first band. The minute I turned 21, I went to see, I was just like, where are they playing? I'm going.
Yeah.
It was the Sting in New Britain.
The Sting. I remember them.
And I saw them, and it was crazy. And so I would, every time I saw him, try to figure out what Tommy, like, how is he making the sound that he's making? I don't understand it. And they played in Manchester one time towards the end outside. And I went around at a gazebo, and I went and I sat behind him. And I thought, finally, I'm going to understand it. I'm going to observe everything. And I understood even less. Seeing it like that, I still was like, I don't know. And I mean, I guess a couple of people like this that are my heroes. The thing that's the sad, I still, to this day, I'll just randomly go, Tom Artolino's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
There will never be another one. Like, it's gone forever. Not too many people understand how significant, at least to me, it is to drumming. And you just go, no one can ever do that again. It's gone forever.
That's why it struck me playing with you when I heard that influence.
I try to carry it. I try my best.
But you're definitely, it's, I mean, for people that want to be carrying the torch, I would say you are.
Well, thank you.
One of the ones.
Thank you. I hope so. I think it's
one of my favorite things about your playing.
Well, thanks. So, enough about me. Real quick. Man, we got to blitz through this. You ready?
Right. Yep.
Desert Island albums, give me 2 or 3.
Real strange ones probably. 11 Tracks of Whack by Walter Becker.
Wow, don't know it.
Really, really bizarre.
Okay,
album.
all right.
He did it.
Yeah, don't know it.
Oh, it's such an amazing album.
Interesting.
Wow, yeah, this is on the spot.
Yeah, all right.
There's a few of them.
All right.
I just can't. They're not there right now.
You can add them in the comments. Desert Island food. Something you could eat every day. Be fine with if you had to pick one thing. Is it possible? I have a new question, by the way, when he's done with this. I thought of a new one.
A food.
Yeah. Just say pizza.
Sushi.
Oh, sushi.
Yeah, I like sushi. Okay. Yeah. I don't have it enough.
You'd be okay with that.
But I'd be all right with it.
All right, that's cool. Are you ready for this one? Best live concert you've ever seen. Best show you've ever seen. Was it that Clapton show? Did we already do that?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's probably down in like a BB King's in New York or something, or at seeing some of the like Robin Ford shows. I saw Toto down there.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was really something.
Simon Phillips.
Yeah,
sure.
And it was really kind of like sad because the place holds like 350 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, New York is one of the biggest cities in the world. These people outside of this place have no idea.
Yeah. The thing
what they're
is
missing.
Yeah, it's here.
And that was always a very underappreciated band. Like they play in Sweden and sell out.
Yeah.
And then over here they can't get arrested. It's just Americans are funny sometimes.
They are funny. That's a word for it.
I guess is the thing, because the attention span.
Yeah, they think it's a pop band. They don't really understand.
Yeah. They don't understand Jeff Porcaro and that whole thing. There's another one that's gone, and there will never be another.
Exactly.
Thank God they didn't try to find another Jeff Porcaro. They just got somebody who's completely different.
Yeah. I guess
and tremendous as well.
You would have to. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, you're right about that. All right, real quick, I gotta go. We gotta go. My wife, hilarious. I don't know if you ever met her. My wife's really funny. Not a musician, but has a bizarre ear. We just started dating. She calls me up one day. She goes, "You're a drummer. What's up with the bass drum at the end of Hold the Line?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Is that like a thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, glad I met you. Let's get married and stay together forever." But like, she's like, "I just noticed it. Like, is that hard?" And I'm like, "It's a thing." Like all drummers of my age, that I remember bringing it to my drum teacher going, "What's this?" We all had to learn that.
Yeah.
So even she, a non-drummer, Jeff Porcaro, she heard it. It was like, "He's good, right?" And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
He probably stole that from Bonham.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Yep.
But yeah, partially. It was a pleasure. I wish we had longer, actually.
It went way too fast.
I know. Well,
Still not used to talking about myself, so.
Hey, man, you did pretty good.
I felt like I skipped around a lot, but
come back.
Things.
Come back. We're at the comeback point, so we'll give it a few, and then you can come back. You can you'll watch this and make a list. Remember the things that you didn't talk about that you want to.
I'll probably get emails from people like, "Hey, man, you
never
mentioned our
me.
thing."
I taught you everything, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Oh well. All right. Well, you know what? You're your own man now, Dennis Fancher. You don't need those people.
Well, at least on the internet.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, you're back. You're playing again. It's good.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
It's very...
The phoenix rising.
Yep.
Out of the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to press the button. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm glad you showed up. Dennis Fancher was here. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one satellite, start looking left. Dennis knew where it was, because you came here when you were how old? 10.
Yeah, like 14.
14. Wow. All right. Thanks for listening, kids. We will see you next time. Drive safe. Why would I say that? They're not even here. Okay. I don't know. All right. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.